The Moonlight Between Two Kingdoms. The spring festival at the borderlands between the Kingdom of Lyra and the Kingdom of Amelia was an annual tradition meant to celebrate the changing of seasons. Bright banners fluttered in the breeze, and the air was alive with the scents of roasted meat and blooming flowers. Despite the festive atmosphere, tension lingered between the people of the two neighboring kingdoms, their smiles often laced with wariness. Princess Amelia of Lyra, her golden hair cascading down her back, wandered through the festival disguised as a commoner. She wore a simple green gown and a hood that concealed her royal status. Escaping the suffocating confines of the palace, she longed for a taste of freedom, if only for a day. Nearby, Prince Cedric of Amelia, dressed in modest attire to blend in with the crowd, observed the festival with guarded curiosity. He had come under the pretense of diplomacy, but his true intent was to experience the vibrant culture he had only heard about in stories. As Amelia strolled through the colorful marketplace, her attention was caught by a street performer juggling flaming torches. She clapped her hands in delight, momentarily forgetting the watchful eyes of the palace guards stationed nearby. At that moment, she felt someone brush past her, their shoulder lightly grazing hers. "Apologies, miss," came a rich, warm voice. Amelia turned to see a man with striking features, sharp blue eyes that sparkled like the ocean and a confident smile that seemed both charming and mischievous. She blinked, momentarily caught off guard. "No harm done," she replied, her voice soft but tinged with curiosity. Prince Cedric tilted his head, intrigued by the young woman's grace and the mysterious air about her. "I don't think I've seen you around before. Are you from Lyra?" Amelia hesitated, unsure of how much to reveal. "I am just a traveler, here to enjoy the festival." Cedric smiled knowingly but chose not to press further. "Well, traveler, would you care to join me? I've heard there's a remarkable view from the hill overlooking the festival." Caught between caution and an inexplicable pull toward the stranger, Amelia nodded. Together, they ascended the hill, where they were greeted by a breathtaking panorama of the festival lights glowing against the deepening twilight. For a while, they sat in companionable silence, the tension of their respective duties momentarily forgotten. Cedric broke the silence, asking, "What brings you here?" "Truly?" Amelia's smile faded slightly as she replied, "A desire to escape." "And you?" Cedric chuckled, a hint of sadness in his voice. "The same." Though they didn't exchange names, their conversation flowed as if they had known each other for years. Beneath the starlit sky, two hearts began to intertwine, unaware of the trials that awaited them. The bells of the festival signaled its end, jolting Amelia back to reality. She stood abruptly, her heart pounding. "I must go," she said hurriedly. "Will I see you again?" Cedric asked, standing as well. Amelia hesitated, then whispered, "Perhaps," before vanishing into the crowd. As Cedric watched her disappear, he couldn't shake the feeling that their paths were destined to cross again. And so began a love that would defy kingdoms and challenge fate itself. Back in her chamber, Princess Amelia couldn't stop thinking about the man she met at the festival. His kind eyes and mysterious presence lingered in her mind. Meanwhile, in Amelia, Prince Cedric found himself equally captivated by the memory of the young woman who seemed both ordinary and extraordinary. The next day, Amelia received a letter delivered in secret. To the traveler under the stars. Our meeting was brief, but unforgettable. If fate allows, meet me at the forbidden forest under the next full moon. Yours, Cedric. Despite her fears, Amelia slipped out of the palace that night and ventured into the forest. There, under the moonlight, Cedric awaited her. They talked about their dreams, their burdens, and their longing for freedom. By the end of the night, they promised to stay in touch, exchanging letters through a trusted courier. This must remain a secret, Amelia whispered. Cedric nodded. Until the day we can be free. But hidden in the shadows, a spy watched, ready to reveal their forbidden love. The morning after her secret meeting, Amelia returned to the palace. Her heart light yet cautious. She hid Cedric's letter under her pillow, afraid anyone might discover her secret. But her father, King Reginald of Lyra, had sharp instincts. He noticed Amelia's distracted demeanor during breakfast. Is there something troubling you, Amelia? The king asked, his tone probing. Startled, Amelia shook her head. No, father. I'm perfectly fine. Meanwhile, in Arvelia, Prince Cedric faced a similar challenge. His father, King Alden, summoned him to the royal chamber after hearing rumors of Cedric's frequent absence from the castle. You know your duty is to this kingdom, King Alden said sternly. Fraternizing with outsiders is dangerous. Both royals felt the weight of their family's expectations pressing down on them. Amelia's father had already begun arranging her engagement to the Duke of Westhaven, a powerful ally. Cedric, too, was under pressure to marry a princess from a neighboring kingdom to strengthen ties. Despite their family's disapproval, Amelia and Cedric continued their correspondence in secret. Each letter carried words of hope, love, and determination, fueling their resolve to fight for their bond. But as the days passed, the walls of opposition around them seemed to grow ever higher. At the Lyra Palace, rumors of Amelia's distracted behavior began to circulate among the court. Sensing an opportunity, the Queen's advisors proposed a political marriage to Duke Westhaven to secure alliances and control the princess's growing independence. Amelia overheard the discussion while walking past the council chamber. Her heart sank. A pawn in their games, she muttered, clutching Cedric's latest letter hidden beneath her sleeve. In Arvelia, Cedric faced mounting pressure from his father. King Alden introduced him to Princess Isabella, the daughter of a wealthy ally. She would be a perfect match, the king insisted. Ignoring Cedric's silence, the two lovers, separated by duty and politics, exchanged hurried letters. Amelia wrote, "They're planning my engagement. I can't let this happen." Cedric replied, "Hold on. We'll find a way. Our love will prevail." But unbeknownst to them, their correspondence was being intercepted. A suspicious courtier in Lyra handed Amelia's letters to the king. The seeds of betrayal had been sown, and danger loomed closer. Under the weight of mounting pressure, Amelia knew she had to act quickly. With her father pushing for an engagement to Duke Westhaven, Her freedom seemed to slip further away each day. Desperate, she sent Cedric a secret message: "Meet me at the Forbidden Forest. We must make a plan." That night, under the cover of darkness, Amelia donned a simple cloak and slipped past the palace guards. Her heart raced as she made her way to the forest. There, she found Cedric waiting, his expression a mix of relief and determination. "We can't keep hiding," Amelia said, her voice trembling. "They'll force me into a marriage I don't want." Cedric nodded. "Then let's leave. We'll find safety beyond the reach of both kingdoms." As they began to plan their escape, a sudden noise startled them. The crack of a twig echoed through the forest. Cedric instinctively drew his sword, shielding Amelia as shadows emerged from the trees. "It's the king's men," Amelia whispered, fear gripping her. The guards surrounded them, swords drawn. "Princess Amelia, you're coming back with us," the captain barked. Realizing they had no choice, Cedric whispered, "Trust me." In a swift motion, he grabbed her hand and led her deeper into the forest, using his knowledge of the terrain to evade their pursuers. Though they managed to escape for now, both knew their actions had crossed a line. Their love was no longer a secret, it was a rebellion. Hiding in the ruins of an old temple deep in the Forbidden Forest, Amelia and Cedric discovered carvings of two lovers from opposing kingdoms. The mural told a tragic story: their love failed to unite their people, leaving a curse of eternal hatred. "This feels like us," Amelia whispered. A ghostly voice echoed through the temple: "Only love can break the chains of hate." Cedric clenched his fists. "Then we must succeed where they failed." Their love now carried a greater purpose, but also a greater risk. News of Amelia and Cedric's escape reached both kingdoms, igniting outrage. King Reginald of Lyra and King Alden of Arvelia, each suspecting betrayal, began preparing for war. Amelia, hidden with Cedric in the Forbidden Forest, learned of the brewing conflict through a trusted ally. "They'll destroy everything because of us," she said, her voice trembling. Cedric took her hands firmly. "We can stop this. If we show them our love is real, they might listen." But the kings were resolute. Both saw the union as a threat and ordered their armies to march. As war loomed, Amelia and Cedric realized they had to risk everything to stop the bloodshed. As the armies of Lyra and Arvelia approached the Forbidden Forest, Amelia and Cedric faced an impossible choice. If they stayed together, their love would fuel the conflict. If they separated, they might have a chance to bring peace. "You have to go back, Amelia," Cedric said, his voice heavy with emotion. "Convince your father to stop this war." Tears streamed down Amelia's face. "And what about you? What if they capture you?" "I'll find a way," Cedric replied, forcing a smile. "For us, and for our kingdoms." With a final embrace, they parted ways, Cedric disappearing into the forest while Amelia returned to the palace. Her heart ached, but she knew their sacrifice was the only hope for peace. Amelia returned to the Lyra palace, pleading with her father to stop the war. "This conflict is born of hatred, not necessity," she said. "Cedric and I can bring peace if you'll let us." But King Reginald was unmoved. "Arvelia cannot be trusted," This is for our kingdom's survival. Meanwhile, Cedric approached his father, King Alden, offering to renounce his claim to the throne if it would prevent war. "Let me be the price for peace," he declared. Both kings hesitated, torn between their children's words and years of enmity. The lovers' sacrifices planted seeds of doubt, but the flames of war still burned brightly. Peace, it seemed, required even greater risk. Realizing their words alone couldn't stop the war, Amelia and Cedric devised a daring plan. Through secret letters, they agreed to confront both armies at the battlefield's edge and make their stand for peace. Amelia slipped out of the palace once more, joining Cedric near the border. "If we fail, this could cost us everything," she said. Cedric took her hand. "If we don't try, it will cost far more." As the two armies prepared to clash, Amelia and Cedric rode forward together, standing between the forces. "This hatred must end," Amelia cried. "We are proof that love can unite what war seeks to destroy." Their courage stunned the soldiers and commanders alike, forcing both kings to reconsider the true cost of their conflict. Just as Amelia and Cedric stood united before the armies, a sudden commotion erupted among the ranks. A shadowy figure emerged, one of King Reginald's trusted advisors, who had been secretly fueling the conflict for personal gain. "This union is a lie," the advisor shouted, accusing Cedric of plotting to overthrow Lyra. Soldiers on both sides hesitated, their trust wavering. Amelia stepped forward, her voice clear and strong. "You speak of lies, yet you profit from war. This conflict serves no one but your greed." Cedric exposed similar betrayals within Arvelia's court, forcing both kings to confront the treachery in their ranks. Faced with undeniable truth, the kings ordered the arrest of the conspirators. But the betrayal left tensions high. Amelia and Cedric knew their fight for peace was far from over. With the conspirators exposed, Amelia and Cedric turned their focus back to uniting the kingdoms. Together, they spoke to both armies, sharing the legend of the ancient curse and how it had fueled generations of hatred. "Our love defies this curse," Cedric declared. "Let us be the ones to break it." Amelia took his hand. "If we can unite, so can our kingdoms." Moved by their courage and sincerity, soldiers on both sides began to lower their weapons. A faint glow emerged from the distant ruins of the Forbidden Forest, as if the ancient curse itself was responding. In that moment, both kings stepped forward, their hardened expressions softening. King Reginald spoke first. "Perhaps it is time we let love lead where war has failed." As the armies dispersed, hope began to replace hatred, and the path to peace became clearer. The armies of Lyra and Arvelia withdrew, their leaders shaken but inspired by the courage of Amelia and Cedric. In a historic meeting at the border, the two kings agreed to a truce, vowing to end the cycle of hatred that had divided their kingdoms for generations. Amelia and Cedric stood side by side as witnesses to this newfound peace. King Reginald, his voice heavy with emotion, addressed his daughter. "You have shown more wisdom and courage than I ever imagined. Your love has saved us all." King Alden, too, nodded solemnly. "Perhaps it's time we trusted the future to those brave enough to change it." As the two kingdoms began to reconcile, Amelia and Cedric's love became a symbol of unity and hope. Though the road ahead was long, the first steps toward a lasting peace had been taken. With peace restored, the kingdoms of Lyra and Arvelia gathered to celebrate the union of Princess Amelia and Prince Cedric. Under the glow of a full moon, a grand wedding was held at the border, where the two lovers had first dreamed of a united future. Amelia walked down the aisle, her gown shimmering like starlight. Cedric stood waiting, his eyes filled with love and pride. As they exchanged vows, the crowd erupted in cheers, a celebration not just of their love, but of the peace they had achieved. Their wedding became a beacon of hope, a reminder that love could conquer hatred and unite even the most divided hearts. Together, Amelia and Cedric began a new chapter, building a future where their kingdoms would thrive in harmony. Their love, once forbidden, became a legend passed down for generations.